Hi, I'm Peter Thomas. I own a sewing machine shop. I've sold hundreds, maybe even 1,000 sewing machines in the last 20 plus years. A lot of times when you make a garment or a quilt or a project, it doesn't come out right. And a lot of times people will blame the machine, they'll blame their experience level, they'll blame everything except the cause of the problem. There's roots why your quilt, especially quilts, didn't come out right. Well, you probably didn't follow all the instructions, you probably took a shortcut, but I found in my own experience that needles are the number one culprit. If a needle isn't sharp, it's not going to puncture or pierce the fabric properly, and the stitch isn't going to look right. Today's video is really about thread, and there are different types of thread. There's cotton thread, polyester thread. There's thread that looks like it's silk, feels like it's silk. It's not silk, it's cotton. And I just wanted to go through a few of these because I know each individual quilt shop or sewing machine shop operator has their own line of thread that they love, the thread that they just think is the best thread. I sell a lot of Aurifil thread mainly because it's a very good cotton thread. This is an example. Mark Lipinski has his own line of fabric, does a lot of work out in California. I'm not name dropping, I've never met him, but this is a set of thread. The 12 threads, usually you see this for around $100. If you don't want to go with a whole collection of thread, you can get something smaller. This is a color builder that Aurifil puts out, and it's basically 3 different types of color in a box. We've repackaged this particular box. It has all reds in it, but if you bought the Capri Teal, there would be 3 different types of blue in this. So if you want to vary your stitch color, this might be the way to go. One of the most popular colors today for garment construction and also quilts is a gray or a natural thread. Aurifil makes a color called Dove. It's one of the number one threads that I sell, and you can get in spools about this size. This is actually, we look at this, this is actually 40 weight thread. You know it's 40 weight because it's green. Aurifil does make other weights besides the 40. This is the 50. Most people that are quilting buy the 50 weight thread. This is my number one seller by far. Occasionally somebody will want something a little bit heavier, which is the 40. They also make down to 20 weight. Most of the people that are using 12 weight thread, they're not machine sewing, they're actually hand stitching. Some people use it for cross stitch, some people use it to hand sew quilts. That's still popular. Most people end up buying the 50 weight, and you can actually buy the 50 weight 2 different ways. You can buy the big spool. This will last you a while. Their nickname is Mako. I don't know how they came out with that, but this is black in color, and the number on this is 2692, and this is also 2692. Black is a very, very popular color for sewing. If you ever are stuck and you don't really know what color to use, you really don't want to use white on a lot of garment construction, and also you don't want to use white a lot of times when you're quilting, black or a neutral color, um, a brown or a gray probably is your best choice. Aurifil is cotton. It's 100% Egyptian cotton. The nice thing I like about Aurifil is when you sew a line, you're not going to get a lot of pilling. You're not going to get a lot of lint. You're going to get a solid stitch. Um, these are all considered top stitch threads, but I actually wind bobbins with this, and I use this for the top stitch and the bottom stitch. It works out very well. Cotton is very, very strong. Um, it looks really nice when you finish it. A lot of people end up going to some of the big box stores and they buy what I call demo thread, and I think I have some demo thread around here someplace, maybe. It basically, demo thread is a very inexpensive thread. Um, there's Coat and Clark's. This is a type of demo thread. Just looking at it, you can see how much lint and fuzz that's on the thread. Not a big fan. This is 100% polyester. It's good for a quick repair. If you're doing something where you don't really care, people see it and it doesn't look right, and you just want to do something fast and cheap, demo thread, and like I said, you can get it at any big box store, and I'm thinking of two right now off the top of my head. I'm not going to mention their names, you know who they are. But it's a cheap thread. It, like I said, it's got a lot of fuzz, it's got a lot of lint, it's going to break, and also the dyes. This is dyed thread. This is cotton. This is polyester. It was probably not white. It was probably like an off white color when it came off the machine, and they dyed it. The dyes will wear off, and where it wears off the most is inside your sewing machine. And sometimes I do sewing machine repairs. And sometimes I have to take a sewing machine apart. And besides having a really bad old needle in it that's not sharp anymore, I'll have to clean the upper tension. It'll all be full of black gunk. And the black gunk comes from black thread. It comes from the dyes. Now, I sell inexpensive thread. Some people come in here and they just want to pay $1 for thread. I have the dollar thread. But my big three is, the big one is Aurifil. That's number one. I sell Aurifil. I also sell, this is Mettler thread. This is very, very good. This is a silk finish. It's also cotton, very nice cotton thread. This is actually a blue. It's 500 meters or 547 yards. Very, very nice thread. And this is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 weight. If you're doing quilting, 40 weight, 50 weight, 60 weight, 40 is the thickest, and then 50 is mid-range, and then there's 60. Most people go ahead and buy the 50, and that's what I sell. This is 50 weight thread. And there's Gutermann. Now I carry Gutermann two different ways. I do carry a cotton Gutermann. This is actually made out of recycled water bottles. This is polyester. It's a fairly inexpensive thread. It's about halfway between the quilting thread like the Mettler and the Aurifil. This is about halfway in price between that and the demo thread. So between Aurifil, Mettler, and Gutermann, you really can't go wrong. If you're doing quilting, you really want to stay with cotton thread. There are other threads on the market. This is 3,000 yards. It's 100% polyester. This actually is a private label that I sell. But if you've heard the name Maxi Lock or Sure Lock, it's pretty much the same type. Again, because it's inexpensive, you're going to see lint, you're going to see fuzz. I'm not going to say it's going to stretch a whole lot, but certainly it's not something that's going to wash very well, and over a period of time you're probably going to have to redo the work. I've made some pillowcases out of this thread, and they lasted about 6 months before they started unraveling. You're going to see this a lot, and you're going to see this a lot because they're big cones. It's called a cone. This is a spool. This is a cone. You're going to see these on sergers because sergers use a lot of thread. And finally, one of the other threads that's on the market today is Robinson Anton. I've used this a little. This is particularly rayon. It's not polyester, it's rayon. Rayon's very, very similar to a nylon. Robinson Anton has its following. It's not a bad product. It's useful. I've sold some of it. It's moderately priced. I'm not going to say this is the highest priced product, but it's up there. You know, you're going to pay around $10, somewhere around $10 to $13 a spool. And this particular spool of Aurifil thread has, you know, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a lot of thread on here. This is going to last a while. This is a lot of thread. This is all made in Italy. Aurifil threads made in Italy. So I'm not really kind of promoting one thread over another. The thread that you're using, if you've created a garment or you've sewed a pair of sneakers together or you repaired a patch or a hole in a jeans and it just didn't come out nice, it's probably because first you didn't use a sharp needle, and I actually use Schmetz needles, but organ needles are great, Singer needles are okay, but sharp needles, about every 60 hours of use, you should probably put a new needle in. This is a Microtex needle, and this is what I use when I repair a sewing machine. It gets a Microtex needle. I like Microtex. I've never quite figured out why, but it does make a very nice stitch. And like I said, every time I do a sewing machine repair, one of these needles goes into the sewing machine. It makes a big difference. This needle has to pass within about a width of a piece of paper from the hook. So you want something that's not going to bend, and certainly something that's not going to break, something that's not going to actually go ahead and hurt the needle throat. I look at some machines, some of the old machines, and you can see all the needle strikes because somebody was pushing the material through or pulling the material, and they bent the needle and they had a needle strike. And after a couple of those needle strikes, it doesn't matter how sharp this needle is, you probably need a new plate because the needle plate is probably damaged or needs to be resurfaced. So I think I carried this video fairly well. Like I said, I'm not pushing one thread over another thread. If you have any questions, you can go on Aurifil's website or Gutermann's or Mettler's website. The Mettler thread that we have here is actually called a silk finish cotton. It feels like silk. It's a really, really nice thread. I'm not going to say it's really expensive. I think these go for $8 to $9 a spool, but it gives a really nice professional finish look, just like the Aurifil, to anything that you're creating. So I'm Peter Thomas. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been selling thread for 30 years. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave my name and my phone number in the video, and I hope you enjoyed what I'm presenting here. And I always like feedback, even if the feedback's not 100% positive feedback. You can learn a lot by criticism. So give me a little like at the end of the video, and also subscribe